Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Justy. We're seated. It's very weird. I don't sit in this room. But during the Disney trip we are about to talk about, the Canadian government put in a specific request that when you come home, you have to be under quarantine. This is not social distancing, this is actual quarantine. I am not supposed to be out of the house, and I haven't left the house since I came home, and I'm losing it a little bit, but I have to work. So I work from home, and I have a desk in here now, and the amount of effort to get the desk out of the way, get it back, deal with all that to film this, it was too high. So the desk stays and we are sitting. Kind of gives you a different view of things, which I mean is interesting, I guess. I don't know. You can see the Peter Pan stuff, which is really exciting. Let's get on topic. Let's debrief this last Disney trip. Christoph's here to help me for no reason other than I found him at the back of my Disney stuffed toys shelf, and I felt he needed to be out and about and seen. So here he is. I want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I know I am very lucky and very privileged to get to go to Disneyland. I know that that is not something everybody can do even once in their lifetime. I know it's a very special place, it's very special to me, and I am very, very thankful that I get to go as often as I do. I'm very grateful. But this was the worst trip to Disneyland I've ever had. That's not to say we didn't have fun. Absolutely, I did have fun. Anya had fun. It was her first trip ever, so really that was the biggest thing to me, is making sure that Anya had fun despite everything that was going on, so she would want to go back. But if I was ranking a list of my best Disney trips to my worst Disney trips, this one would be at the bottom. One very obvious reason that it's pretty low is we were there as things were shut down for COVID-19. Now, I'm not against that decision whatsoever. I'm super happy people are safe. I'm glad to hear big gatherings and all this stuff are being stopped with how quickly this has been spreading. We gotta do something. So just to say that, I'm not mad at this decision. Disney needed to do it. But it's definitely a little upsetting when you're on day one of a 3-day Disney trip and you learn that your last day is not gonna happen. I say now I'm glad. At the time, I was definitely one of those people that's like, it's not even that bad. It's not airborne. Why are they doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was in Disney. I was getting close. I was pretty upset. And I wasn't thinking the most rationally. So I'll take that hit. But it sucked. It sucked to find out, and it was really extra hard because, so one person had sent me the official Twitter post saying that it's gonna be closed because they knew we were in Disney. To which I was like, oh, thank you for letting me know. I told Anya, that was great. I mean, we needed to know, and that gave us time to go and talk to some staff, that sort of stuff. Following that, me and Anya must have received 50 messages each informing us that this was happening, sending us the same post or just telling us. And I'm very thankful that everybody was trying to keep us informed, make sure we knew what was going on, that sort of stuff. I do 100% get that. But it gets a little draining to be told over and over and over again that Disney is closing. Trust me, we knew. And not only from the people sending us those messages, they were sending push notifications to the app that you use in Disneyland. Every time you opened it, it'd be like, hey, we're closing, and it would notify you twice before it would go away. People in Disneyland were talking about it because pretty much everyone knew, right? Everyone who's in Disney generally stays up to date on Disney stuff for the most part. So to be experiencing all that and then continuously get messages saying, oh my god, Disney's closing, it was very hard and very exhausting. But again, thank you for everyone who was just trying to make sure we were safe. I get that. It was just difficult. And I think the part that got us the most about these messages as well was a bunch of them, along with informing us, followed up with these very frantic, are you all right? Are you gonna be okay? You know, what's going on? Is everything fine? This big kind of almost panic message with it, to which we're like, what do you think's gonna happen? You think we're locked in the park? They're just gonna shut it down now and none of us can leave? Which really it's not a bad thing for me. I'm not gonna complain about that. Or do you think they think we all have COVID, so we're just gonna be shot right there at Disneyland? I don't know. Yes, we were fine. Nothing bad was gonna happen. We just couldn't go to Disney on our last day anymore, which sucked. I mean, that's bad in itself, but we were very personally fine. But again, it's very exhausting to over and over again. Are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, we're fine. It was good. So yeah, that was our first day while we were in California Adventure. It was exhausting to find out. And not only that, but it was pouring rain from the moment we got into the park till some point during the Frozen show. So I'm gonna say probably like 3:30 it was pouring rain. And I have never experienced that much rain at Disney ever. I think it has only rained once on me in Disney. It was when I went to Disney World in Florida while I was still, oh no, I was just out of high school. And we were going to, I think it was Animal Kingdom, honestly, if I'm remembering correctly. And it sprinkled a little bit in the morning on and off, and then it just stopped raining totally 100%, didn't rain again. And that is literally the only other time I have had rain in Disneyland. So this was very hard. We were making the best of it at first, right? I had my rain jacket. Unfortunately, Anya and Nikita, neither of them had brought rain gear. And so they were getting quite wet. Nikita at some point finally picked up a poncho, but not for a while. Because of the rain, so much was not happening. One of the biggest things that I have to do when I go to Disneyland, I warn people before we go if they've never been with me, is I have to meet Captain America. That's just like a thing that I have to do. I don't care what rides we go on. I don't care if you want to meet specific characters. We can do all of that. This is just the only one thing. Okay, well there's one more, but we talk about that later. But this thing I have to do. Because it was raining, I did not get to meet Captain America this trip. And that hurt. And by the time it had stopped raining, his last kind of appearance time had passed, so he was not coming back after the rain. Well, Captain America did not come out. All the Marvel characters did not come out. We got very lucky that we did get to see Captain Marvel. Once the rain had stopped, she was the very last Marvel character making an appearance, and that was her last appearance, so thank you for that. Didn't get to see any of the Guardians guys, didn't get to see their dance battle, because again, pouring rain. The Cars ride was closed when we tried to go and do that, which, thinking back, and it does make sense, but it's, you know, it's frustrating, and Annie's never done any of this stuff, and it's all closed. And at this point, when we're going to check Cars, the only ride she's been on is Guardians, which she hated. So, like, things are not looking good. We really are, like, trying our best. We get on a carousel, that's great. We're in and out of stores looking at stuff, because we like to shop, and also because it's dry in stores. I lost my patience at one point, and I felt quite bad, and I did apologize later. I would like to say, also quite hungry, so I was hangry. Still not, doesn't get me right, but that was part of it. We were walking by Midway Mania, which I was like, okay, well, let's go line up for this. We've only done like 2 rides, you know, we've paid $100 some odd to be in this park. We should make the best of it, we should get on rides. And a good portion of the line is undercover. Not all of it, but a very good portion of it. So we just had to get to that point. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, like, oh, how long's the wait? And at the time, I think it was like 40 minutes. And, you know, Annie's like, no, I don't want to wait for that. I want to do that. Which is very valid. And I kind of snapped. I was like, well, fine. Like, are we just going to do nothing today because it's raining? Which, you know, is not the best response in the happiest place on earth. Not very Disney of me, if you will. But I felt like, okay, well, I know it's raining, but if we're not going to line up for anything because it's raining, we're not going to do anything. We are literally in this park to walk around and get soaked. So I very quickly was like, I think I need to go eat. I think that's going to help. So we did, and it was good food, and it helped a little bit. But we were definitely like, at this point, even my raincoat has started to stop working. I'm getting wet under my jacket. They are soaked because they've had no rain gear. Nikita has a poncho by now, but obviously she was pre-soaked before getting the poncho. And it's getting harder and harder to want to be in the park. We were taking the free shuttle from our hotel, which during the middle of the day does not run. So it stops. Its last morning bus is 11 something and the first evening bus is 5 something. So we're trying to make it to 5, and we're at the point where we're gonna leave. When the first bus comes at 5 p.m., we are going to leave this park, which I've never, ever even contemplated cutting my Disney day early, especially with the knowledge that we're losing a day, right? The park's closing, but we were not having fun at this point. We were soaked. So we mucked around in the animation studio place for a while just because it's dry, it's inside, whatever. And we decide we'll go and see Frozen because that's an inside activity. We can sit. It's probably going to be a decent amount of time. No one's ever seen it. I hadn't gone to see this yet. but we assumed it's got to be at least an hour, right? It started raining even harder while we were waiting for this show. And I tell you, we were, at that moment, we were gonna leave. Like, done. After the show, shuttle does, it doesn't matter, we're leaving. And then we get in, and it's Southern California. So I don't know why I thought they'd have heating. They don't. So it's very room temperature, which is, it should be, considering what their normal temperature is. And because there's so much space, even though there's a lot of people, the body heat isn't really warming anything up either. And I'm sure everybody else is just as cold as we were. They were standing in the rain too. So we were freezing the entire show. My hands were like ice, we're wet, we're cold. The show was great. They did a good job, but we were freezing and it was very hard to like really enjoy what was going on. So the show ends, it was only an hour. We were hoping it would be longer, but nope. We're putting our wet stuff back on because we have to go outside. And we're like, this is it. We're gonna start walking towards the shuttle. We have to leave. This is not fun. When we step outside, it has stopped raining. It was completely dry. It was a frozen miracle, as I said in my vlog. We couldn't believe it. And finally, we could have some real fun. So we all had to pick up sweaters because there was no way we were going to make it till the end of the night to World of Color for Anya if we were in our wet stuff. So that was a bit frustrating. We all had to buy like $70 with conversion sweaters that we might not have purchased otherwise, but you know, we all got something cute, so that's nice. We're pretty happy. I'm very happy with mine, but still. We finally got to get her on some of the rides that had been closing. She got to go on cars. We all went single riders so we could get right on. She loved that one. It's a great ride. Makes sense. We got a bunch of other things done. I got to go on the Incredicoaster with Nikita, which was super awesome. I'm glad I did. Because it had stopped raining, some characters could finally come out, right? We met Captain Marvel. We got to see Donald. We got to see Goofy, who was so much fun. So things really, really did start to pick up in the evening, which was very nice. We got to see World of Color in the end. Anya loved it. Thank goodness. We all weren't too cold at the end of the night. Luckily, our sweaters were doing their jobs, and the wettest part of ourselves had dried by that time. And that was the end of day one. Day two was definitely better than day one. Nikita wanted to do one specific breakfast place, which she had told me I didn't have to make reservations for because they just let people in, like, just a whatever restaurant. There's sometimes like a 5-minute wait, but it's not like trying to get into one of the big fancy ones. But it turns out that when it rains, they turn to reservation only because half of their section is gone because it's wet. And while it wasn't pouring like it was the day before, it was very much sprinkling on and off throughout the whole day. So we didn't get to do her breakfast restaurant. I felt really bad. That was literally the one thing that she said she had to do when she was at Disney. I'm very sorry again, Nikita. Hopefully next time we do get to go, and I'm gonna make reservations whether you want me to or not. Because it was sprinkling on and off all day, and Peter Pan wears very like fabric-y shoes. They soak very easily. He could not come out at all because the rain was very unpredictable and the ground was constantly wet. And he is the one other character that I have to meet when I'm at Disney. And I didn't get to meet him either. The other issue with the rain, it didn't cause too many problems. The sprinkling really wasn't that bad. But the one other thing was the only time it decided to rain quite hard was 30 minutes before the 3 o'clock parade. And this parade is brand new, never seen it before. And as well, I had been told there's a big, lovely, beautiful Frozen float that had everybody dancing with it, including Kristoff. And I was very excited for this because you can't meet Kristoff in the park right now. So I was like, oh cool, it's like the one way I'm gonna get to see Kristoff, because they also have zero Kristoff merch, despite the fact that it just was Frozen 2, and he's very popular. I mean, not as popular as Anna, I get it, but he deserves merch too. I literally asked the lady at information to give me this gift card because it had Kristoff on it, and this was the only thing I could find from Frozen 2 with him on it. But anyways, because it had decided to very heavily rain 30 minutes before the parade was canceled! They did do the rainy day parade, which I mean was very cute, and I did get to like yell hello at Kristoff, and he did respond to me, which wouldn't have happened in the big parade, probably, I recognize that. But still, I would have preferred to see the big parade. So we lost that too. Luckily, it did not rain heavily again, so we got to see Fantasmic, which freaking blew Anya away. I'm glad. It is beautiful. And the rest of the day was fairly easy in terms of weather. But this was the day before the park is officially going to close for COVID-19. And it was the weirdest experience being in the park. The first day, like, it was in California Adventure. It wasn't super busy because it was pouring rain. That's pretty expected. Still a decent amount of people, though. Disneyland, I want to say ghost town at this point because there's definitely still people. But it was the deadest I have ever seen Disneyland in my entire life. And it was very, very weird. We didn't have to wait for a single ride. Everything was max about 5 maybe 10 minutes. Even to see the princesses was super quick, which is usually a very long lineup. Unfortunately, Haunted Mansion was closed, which is also a sad thing because Anya very much likes ghosts. But that's okay, next time she can see it. And there was just like so few people wandering around. Usually you're like brushing shoulders with people, but not on that day. It was very weird because obviously all the employees know that the park's closing, and at this time we didn't know, like Disney hadn't announced if they were going to pay people while it's closed or if they're not going to pay people. So you don't really want to bring the subject up to them because one, I mean, I'm sure they have heard it all day. It's the same thing as how we got 50 messages. They've heard, they know, they've talked about it, you know? But also, if you don't know if they're getting paid, you don't really know their attitude or their mood on this decision. So you can't just be like, hey, like, excited for your days off, because they might not be. They don't know. So it was this very interesting dynamic sometimes where you almost wanted to talk about it but knew better of it. Sometimes they would bring it up and that opened it up and you could speak to them, which is how we knew that nobody knew if they were getting paid. We were talking to one of the information ladies when we were getting our last day refunded, and it just sucked to know that they were in such an uncertain place. The end of our second day at Disney, I ended up crying all over Mickey, which is probably one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. I don't normally cry when I'm at the end of my Disney trip. That's not a thing. I know that I can come back eventually, you know, and the trip always has to end. But there was just something about the fact that we were the very last group who was going to be meeting Mickey that day. Like, they cut the line off after us. Last people to meet Mickey before the park closes for at least 2 full weeks, which is unheard of with Disney. It doesn't happen. And I was just so sad that in the middle of the hug it came upon me. I just started sobbing. Lucky, Mickey was very patient with me, very supportive, gave the nicest hug. It was very nice. I'm sorry, Mickey. You were just doing your job and you didn't need that. The Saturday we were going to be in Disney is just spent in the hotel. We go out for like lunch and to get a couple things from Target for dinner, which we then experienced the incredibly empty shelves while we were there. Oh, this is very weird. Very weird. I don't like seeing that. There was literally no soup left. But it seems like some of the stuff people are choosing to stockpile seems very random. Like they're stocking up on all these other household items, but not shampoo. Don't you want clean hair? Not that I'm saying stock up, stop that, but just the logic doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, otherwise we were pretty much inside the hotel all day, which is very nice. We had to sleep in. I will admit, the one thing about losing a day at Disney that was nice is we did not have to set an alarm that day. We got to just sleep in. It's a good thing we stayed inside, right? Because now even Canada has put in the please don't travel, please socially distance yourself, which I hope everybody is doing. So really, I think one of the weirdest parts for me was Sunday. So Sunday our flight was 7 p.m. and we had to check out at 11. So obviously we need to keep ourselves busy for several hours. And obviously you should go to the airports early. There was all these news stories about how they're insane. It's taking hours to get through security because everybody's trying to get back to home before flying is totally stopped. So we're like, okay, we'll definitely go. We went like 4 hours early, but that still leaves us a lot of time that we gotta fill. So we went to Downtown Disney because this was before they announced that Downtown Disney would be completely shutting as well. It was still open. It's weird. It's very weird. The security had literally 2 lanes only open and nobody was going through, which was good because we needed our whole suitcases checked. Obviously we couldn't leave things at the hotel, so our entire package of luggage had to be checked. Sorry to those guys, but, you know, they seemed okay, and at least it gave them something to do for a while, because literally there's nothing to do at these parks. And then to see the front entranceway completely devoid of people on a day that Disney should be open, I didn't like it. It felt so weird. And to see the gates closed and to look in and again see absolutely nothing, freaky. I had fun recreating the "let me in" meme at the gates, I will admit. I don't think I'll ever get a lifetime chance to do that again, because it's not the same at night because it's closed. I got to see one of the fabled Disney cats who roam around taking care of the mice, so that was exciting. There was just no one, and then it continued into downtown Disney. There's at least a few more people in that area, right, because shops are open. But again, this is an area where a lot of the time, especially in stores, you're brushing shoulders with people, or there's just people everywhere, and there's just no one. Just nothing. The employees are clearly very bored. We had several of them talk to us for like 20 minutes because, I mean, what are they doing at this time? So we sat and watched nothing for a few hours. It was, again, just weird. I've said weird like 100 times, but I can't get across how strange it is to be in this place that should be open, that should be filled with a bajillion people, especially on a beautiful day. Sunday was a gorgeous day, and there was just nothing. So we finished up at downtown Disney. We decided to go a little bit earlier than we had originally anticipated to the airport, because it was either sit here or sit there, and at least we could guarantee we were through customs and security if we went this early. I guess, I don't know what airports they were talking about. Certainly not LAX, but it was dead. Like, security took, I think, us maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get through, which for a massive airport like that is crazy. And then we just sat for hours in our little waiting area. I can't remember what they're called right now. Gates. At our gate, we flew back. The airplane was the most empty airplane I've seen in quite a while. There were so many empty seats. People are definitely taking the travel ban seriously from what it looked like then, so that's good. When we got back to our airport, it was dead. It was so dead. There was nobody in the airport, which was very weird. They had sanitizer thingies set up like in the middle of hallways so you can't avoid it. And yeah, that was the end of the trip. I don't think there will ever be anything like this again. Fingers crossed, hopefully. I mean, not in my lifetime at least. I can't say there's ever going to be another epidemic like this. But anyways, at least we got a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I guess. That was Disneyland right before the shutdown. An experience. I'll say that. I'm still glad we went. Very happy to be there with Anya and Nikita. Again, we had lots of fun when it wasn't pouring, and did get to do some very cool things that I've never done before, such as the Frozen show. But I would very much like for neither of those things, the pouring rain and the shutdown, to happen again. I obviously can't control the rain. I can't control either. But the rain's definitely more likely, I guess. Alright, and that's my debrief. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions on what it was like to be in the park before this happened that I didn't answer in the video, please feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to respond. Or if you just have any questions about Disney in general, I love answering Disney questions. It's my jam. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye!